check, check, check. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? We're good. Hey, guys, what is up? I'm Steven. I'm so excited to talk to you, and I'm excited that I don't have to yell at you the whole time. This is gonna be fun to kind of maybe see a little different side of me, maybe just a little. I'm just gonna talk to you guys, and I do confess I might get a little excited. That's just how I am. But man, me and Amanda have gone to Hope Fellowship here for now about a year, and you know, we've been so blessed. We've loved this place. We feel like it's our home. And speaking of home, about a year ago, the reason we came here is because we moved and we bought a house. And the joys of home ownership are awesome. Okay, you get to nobody explained to me that, like my dad, he loved when I always mow the yard. He was so particular on the yard. I was like, dude, why does it matter? It's just gonna grow again. And now that I own a home, I understand. I love my yard. I love grass more than I ever thought I would. But buying this house, I also learned that there's a lot of things that sometimes go wrong when you have a home. Okay, I've dealt with like electrical problems. I've dealt with plumbing issues. I've dealt with air condition problems, hot water heaters, you name it. And we fixed all of them. But there's this one thing that since the very beginning has always been probably the most annoying thing about having a home is that you have to live next to a bunch of neighbors. Okay, and there's this sound that was literally piercing, and I heard it first at night, and I was sleeping. I was like, okay, maybe it's just a ringing in my ear. It sounded like this. Super high pitched, and I was like, okay, it's kind of faint. Maybe that's not really, I'm just kind of hearing things. Okay, and then like a week later, Amanda heard it, and then like a month later, we heard it, and we're like, okay, where is this coming from? Like what neighbor is having the security system in their backyard? What is happening, okay? But we weren't really that into it because it just came and went. Well, over the course of months, and months turned into literally a year, about a month ago, we're like, okay, I cannot stand this anymore. What's gonna happen is like, I'm gonna go to fisticuffs with my neighbor. I'm gonna find him, I'm gonna track him down, and I'm gonna confront him. This is too long. It's gone on too long, okay? And man's like, yeah, let's go. So we go in the backyard. I'm like, okay, listen, I'm gonna figure out what's gonna happen, okay? If it gets crazy, call the police, because what's gonna happen is I'm gonna beat him up, and that's fine. Okay, but only if they like antagonize me. But what's gonna happen is I need to know where this noise is coming from. So we come out and we've got like this mission. We're gonna listen. Okay, like you start on that side, and we live in a house that kind of backs up to other houses in an alley. And we're looking, and I'm like, okay, you start over there, and we'll figure out, we're gonna triangulate where this sound is coming from. We're gonna confront them. Okay, so we're going, I'm over here, and she's like, no, it's closer. Okay, I hear it. Is it you got? No, it's not them. Okay, I hear it. And we find ourselves gravitating back towards our own backyard, and then we look up, and on the roof is a squeaky, rusty wind turbine that's on the roof of my own house, okay? This thing that I was so upset about this thing, okay, was literally coming from my own house. Okay, as we're in week 2 of You Matter, and you remember last week, Zach talked about You Matter, meaning we, and every single one of you do. As we're in this second week, okay, just the same way as this sound to me was foreign, I didn't know where it was coming from. Often, when it comes to relationships with us and other people, we don't see what we don't see. We don't see what we don't see. What does that mean? Okay, that means this, is that when you interact with other people, realize this, you know about 25% of the situation, okay? Example, you're walking the halls and maybe Zach has said, hey, ask this person to come to church. And you look at that person and they're in the hallway, you're like, hey, you wanna come to church? And they're rude to you. And then that kind of happens several times. And finally, you form this opinion based on that action. You're like, that guy's a jerk. That person is a jerk, right? When the only thing we're basing our opinion of others on is about 25%. Okay, because people don't experience your intention, they experience your behavior, right? So every person that you interact with, every single person, you know what they do. They show you what they do, you form an opinion based on that, okay? But what's on behind just their actions is this. It's emotion, it's things they've gone through in life, it's trauma, it's stress, okay? There could be abuse. There's tons of things that these people have gone through that their actions are just manifestations of. Their actions are just the fruit of that other 75% that we don't see. We don't see what we don't see, okay? Tonight, I wanna give you 3 simple steps, okay? 3 steps for how to work on understanding people matter and how that should change the way you interact with people, okay? Step 1 is this, very simple, be aware, okay? Step 1 is be aware. Be understanding of the fact that when you deal with somebody, there's a lot more than what you're just seeing. You're seeing something, but there's more behind it. Because see, we have a tendency often to view the best in ourselves while viewing the worst in others. Because we know our ideals and our belief and our stuff that causes us to act in a certain way, right? We know all that stuff. So we give ourselves the benefit of the doubt when we're messing up. But other people, our friends, oftentimes we don't, because we don't know the other 75%. We don't know what we don't know. So we're aware, okay? Like, why? And then the next question might be, like, why am I like that, Stephen? Like, why do I act like that? And I think we should know the answer to that, and most of us should, is that there's sin that entered the world. And when sin entered the world, what happened? There's a disconnect between us and God, okay? And that disconnect we know was ultimately remedied by Jesus on the cross, and he atoned for that, for our sin, past, present, and future, which is the good news for us, but there still is sin. So we gotta understand that that's there. Okay, I got you, Stephen. I'm aware, I get it. Like, sometimes I don't see the full picture, I get it. What do I do now? Okay? So, most of you don't know this about me. I have 4 brothers, okay? I'm the middle of 4 brothers. And in the Baca home, okay, most homes you turn 16 and you get your license. In my home, you turn 16 and you get a job, okay? There's no questions asked, you get a job. And for some weird fixation that my mom had with Dairy Queen, she made all of me and my older brothers work at Dairy Queen. This was what she made us do, okay? And by the way, Dairy Queen is a terrible place to work. Like, I mean that. If your dad owns a Dairy Queen, like, I'm sorry, but it really is a bad place to work, especially if you're a 16-year-old kid. So my mom's like, hey, you need to go get your job at Dairy Queen. It's your 16th birthday. Awesome, thanks, Mom. I go there and I'm like, so by the way, I'm like really shy at this moment. You guys might not believe that, but I am. I'm 16, I probably look like I'm 9. Do I have a picture? Do you have a picture of this? No? Send Zach a picture. Maybe he threw it up there. Maybe later. I'm 16. I probably look 9. And I'm coming to this, like, they're probably thinking they're going to breach on child labor laws. And I'm like, hey, can I get a job? My voice is super high. And they give me an application. I fill it out. They say, hey, we'll call you if we have an opening. I go home. My mom's like, okay, cool. Like, go back up there and ask if you can have a job. Okay, like, I just did that. She said, no, do it again. All right, so I went back up. And I'm like, hey, can I have that job that you told me you were going to call me about? Like, yeah, like, we'll call you. So I go home, I'm like, all right, Mom, they said again, they said they're gonna call me. She's like, yeah, go up there again. I'm like, what are you not understanding about this interaction? She has told me that she's gonna call me. So I go up again, and I ask for a job, and they're like, what a perseverance, you wanna work at Dairy Queen worse than anything in the world. Well, it's my mom that wants to work at Dairy Queen, but that's kind of a side note. That's the lesson in perseverance for us, okay? But at Dairy Queen, I gotta be honest, I was probably, the worst employee that they've ever had. I ate so much of that candy. Dude, Blizzards are so good. Like, I literally would go in the freezer and just eat all the candy. They probably lost money because I worked there. But there was one particular time I was running the drive-thru, and this is awesome. I'm running the drive-thru, and my boss is at the counter, and she's a middle-aged woman. She's the owner of it. She's very organized, and she's professional. And this woman walks up, and she is very flustered. Okay, she's upset, and she's like, I came in here 2 hours ago with 4 Blizzards. Like, first of all, who holds on to a grudge about a Blizzard for like more than an hour? This lady's been festering about this. She's like, 3 of the 4 I ordered were wrong, and I want restitution. At this point, I'm at the drive-thru, and this person, I'm kind of taking their order. He's like, dude, what's going on at the counter? Do you mind if I watch that? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So I lean up, and me and him are kind of bonding. We're watching this. I'm like, dude, this is crazy. And so what happens is the kind of crescendo situation happens. She's yelling, and then my boss, now she's starting to react. She's like, okay, this is ridiculous. Okay, Dairy Queen does things right. I probably made them, to be real. Like, I promise I made them. And she's like, they were so wrong. Starting to build, and at this moment, me and my new friend are like, dude, we've been through so much together, look at this. And what happens is, she takes that shake, I promise you this is true. She takes that shake, and she's like, this is ridiculous. And she slammed the shake on the ground. And if that's where the story ended, it would be an awesome story, but that's not where it ended. My manager is finally fed up, and she's like, oh no. And she takes that shake, and she throws it on her face. Like, I'm not making this up, this is incredible. The only reason they didn't come to fight is because another customer had called the police, and the police came and separated them and took stories. It was in the paper, okay? Assault with shake. Me and this guy are so bonded now. We're still friends on Facebook to this day. That's not true. I just made that part up. That's not true. Okay, but here's the point. First of all, aside from that being the greatest story of my life, second, okay, my manager reacted to a situation using her feelings. She followed her heart. This was treated me some way, I'm going to fight back. We're at step number 2, okay? Feelings are real, they're just not reliable. Listen to me when I say that. Your feelings are real, they're just not reliable. So second step is this: don't follow your heart, inform it. Don't follow your heart. That's the biggest lie of the world. Whatever you feel like doing, do. If someone does this to you, that gives you a right to do that back. Whatever you do, okay, is it gotta be because someone else did something? Those are feelings. They're real. They're not reliable. Don't follow your heart, inform it. How do I inform my heart, Stephen? It's very simple. And we were given this Bible that the creator of the universe wrote, right? Like he wrote this Bible and said, hey, all the stuff you're gonna go through in life, the answers are right here. So we don't follow our feelings and what we feel like in the moment. We go and inform our heart. Let's see what he had to say about it. It says this in Genesis 1:27. If we throw it on the screen here. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. Takeaway number 1 from that, I matter. Right? Zach did an awesome job last week about talking about why we as individuals, we matter. I matter, okay? But you gotta understand that like, that's not the only takeaway. That's a big piece of it, yes. But like, imagine if Jesus came back, or not back, but he came to us like, and he's like, dude, I'm the Son of God, check this out. Miracle, miracle, did a backflip, and he's like, see y'all later, and he went to heaven. Right, like what if that's all he did, okay? That would be the only takeaway if you matter meant that just you matter, but he didn't stop there. We know that he came for his people, right? Most of you guys know Amanda. Me and Amanda got married last year, and as we were dating, the thing we would always do is go eat dinner together. We'd always go eat dinner together, and if any of you guys go eat dinner, you know that the decision of where you go is always the worst part. Like, hey, where you wanna go? I don't know where you wanna go. I don't know, what do you feel like? I don't know what you, like every relationship is like that. Nobody can ever decide where to go. Well, I'm like more of the leader type of person, if you can't tell. And I would ask her all the time, hey, where do you wanna go? And she'd be like, I don't know, you wanna go to sushi? I was like, no, let's go to Torchy's. Okay, cool. Next time, where do you wanna go? She's like, you wanna go to sushi? No, let's go to Piata. Okay, cool, went to Piata. And she continues to have the audacity to suggest sushi as if she thinks I like that. And about 6 months into it, I'm like, what is she not understanding? And so I ask her, I'm like, okay, I gotta know, well, why do you keep suggesting sushi? Clearly I don't like. And she looked at me with like the dagger of words, and she's like, oh, just because it's my favorite food. So we had been dating for like 7 months, and I didn't realize that she had been telling me for like 6 of those, hey, take me to sushi. Okay, I've done better. We go to sushi now frequently. I'm a work in progress, guys. I'm not perfect, okay? Frequently, okay? But guys, this is the point of that. We are so selfish, naturally. We read that verse, that amazing verse, and the only thing we think about is us. That's all we think about, right? The way we interact with people, all we think about is the way they act and how that influences us, how it affects us. We are so selfish, and I promise you, like, I'm the worst of the worst. I really am. Okay, I have to really stay on myself and be in the Word to inform my heart, because I am so selfish. I realize that. But see, a bigger takeaway is not just that you matter, but it's that everyone matters. Okay, go back to that verse real quick. He says, so God created mankind in his own image. Here we go, keyword in a second. In the image of God, he created them. He didn't just say, hey, he created you. Like, that's a big piece of it, but it's not just you, it's everyone. He created all people. He created that person in the hallway that's kind of weird, you don't want to talk to you. He created that person in the lunchroom who also sits by themselves. He created your dad that might have hurt you. He created your boyfriend that might have cheated on you. All those people, he created them. Like, he loves them. The bigger takeaway is that it's not just about us. There's more to it. We gotta inform our heart. What does God say about our situation? Not just the way we feel. Here's one of our main points right here. The image of God, right, says that. Is that we have a crazy common ground with every single person in the entire history of the world. We've all been created by God in his image. That is such an awesome fact. It's so amazing. Okay, we have an extraordinary common ground. So I want you to repeat out. I'm gonna tell you something, I want you to repeat it. I'm gonna say this. if people matter to God, then they should matter to us. I'm gonna say that first part. I want you to say the second. If people matter to God, then, okay, out of 10, that's like a 2. Let's do it again. If people matter to God, then they should matter to us. They should matter to, so often we get fixated on what we're going through. If people matter to God, they should matter to us. Step 3 is this. It says, act. And it's so simple. Act. Okay, Stephen, I'm aware that I treat people certain ways. I get that. What do I do now? I'm not following my feelings. I'm informing my heart by the words of the Lord. What do I do now? You act. You act. Every single character in the Bible that had any significance at all is characterized and they're made known by their actions, right? Like when Paul was on the road to Damascus and Jesus came out, I was like, yo, or I guess it was Saul at that time. He's like, Saul, check it out, like I'm the son of God. You're doing it all wrong. He's like, oh my gosh, you are, oh, that's crazy. And then what did he do next? He went and went with his buddies and he played Fortnite like all the week, right? No, that's not what he did. That's a Fortnite reference. Literally, that's all my small group did at Dig. But that's okay, no shot at you guys, Tyler. But then we're looking at it, and you see that their lives were marked by action, okay? He literally went to action such to the point that he was thrown in jail, he was beaten, his life changed, it was marked by action. These words that God tells you about, they should move you to action. Let's look at what he says, okay? Luke 6:32 through 36, he says this. All characters in the Bible are marked by action, right? Listen to this part. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? Listen carefully. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? Okay? Even sinners love those who love them, right? Like that's so true. If you do good to those who are good to you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners do that. And if you lend to those from whom you expect repayment, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners expecting to be repaid in full. Think about how often we treat people like that. You did this to me, I did this to you. Oh, you did that to, oh man, it's time for you to go off. She did that to you, oh, she deserves it, girl. Oh, how often do we treat people like that? What does God say? When we're informing our heart, right? We're seeing what he says. He says, but love your enemies. Do good to them. Lend to them without expecting to get anything back. Then your reward will be great. You'll be children of the Most High because he is kind to the ungrateful and wicked. Be merciful just as your Father is merciful. You may tell me right now, you might say, you don't understand, Stephen, like I've been hurt so many times. I can't love that person, I've been hurt so many times. I've got a hurt problem. No, you've got a perspective problem. No, you don't understand that person. I can't relate to him or her. They're not like me. I got a connection issue. I got a relation problem. No, you have a perspective problem. You don't understand, Stephen. They do so many things, they bring it on themselves. There's a reason why nobody likes them. I don't have no sympathy for that. I've got a compassion problem. No, you have a perspective problem. You're seeing things through your perspective. But the Creator gives us a different lens that says we're gonna be good to the wicked, to the unjust, to the people who wronged us. We're gonna lend money to the people that don't pay us back. We're gonna be good to the evil and the wicked. That's crazy. Think about this real quick. Think about if Jesus treated you the way you treat others. Like think about that. Like what if he was like, oh man, you messed me up once, that's cool, but twice, we're done, man. Think about like how many times in our life relationship we're like, oh, they've hurt me once for the last time. That's the last time. Think about if that's the way Jesus viewed us. I'm telling you right now, I would have been done with him a long time ago. He would have said, this guy cannot get it right so long ago. But he doesn't. He doesn't. He loves us regardless of what we do. So if you can put all 3 steps in there, I want you to see this. Number 1, be aware. Number 2, don't follow your heart. Don't trust your feelings. They're real. They're not reliable. They're going to lead you astray. Inform your heart. Don't follow it. And then number 3, act. Do something about it. Chances are you may be in one of 2 situations as I say these things to you. If this isn't moving you to action, if this isn't making you feel like, hey, there's somebody, I know who it is, I wanna make sure I'm different to them. If this isn't moving you in that direction, there's one of 2 things going on. Number 1, you might not believe that God is who he says he is. And if you don't believe that he is who he says he is, guess what? You won't believe that we are who he says we are. You with me? So I don't believe, coach, I always call myself that, sorry, that's what I am, Stephen. I don't believe that God is who he says he is fully And how can I believe that others are who they say he is or I'm who he says he is because I don't believe him? Here's what I want you to know. Sometimes the church, I think, has done a poor job of allowing openness. These huddle groups, these people I've met, these huddle group leaders, they're incredible. They are so incredible. Just talk to them. Be open with them. Hey, man, I'm doubting. Man, Jacob, literally wrestled God. You see what I'm saying? If we can't talk about our doubt in church, where can you? Where can you? Man, talk to somebody about it. It's okay if you're doubting. Just don't stay there. Move towards him. And I promise you, the evidence of him is so real, not because I'm anything, but because I've seen what he's taken me through. The evidence is all I need to know in what he's done through me. Move towards him and he will act. But don't stand still and say, oh, I'm doubting. Move. And secondly, maybe you're here and you do believe that God is who he says he is, and you're still not moved. And let me tell you why. Probably because you're more focused on the creation than you are the creator. What do I mean by that? You're more focused on what he's gonna think of you, what she's gonna think of you, than what the creator thinks of you. That's like this. That's like you were in a play, a Shakespearean play. Let's say you're in a Shakespearean play, Romeo and Juliet, and you're the lead. You're Romeo. Okay, and you're acting, you're doing all thinking, and then an understudy, a person who's works on the set, walks up, she's like, dude, you got it all wrong. This Romeo thing you got going on is horrible. You're like, maybe it is. And then Shakespeare walks up, you're like, hey, you're killing it. Who are you gonna believe? Who, the understudy or the playwright? So often we're fixated on what the creation thing. Well, God, I would love to serve you, but that means I'm gonna have to say something. That'd be awkward. God, they're gonna look at me like I'm that Jesus freak at school. I don't want that. That is the creation that you're serving, not the creator. There's one or two reasons this wouldn't move you to action today. It's either you don't believe that God is who he says he is, or you're too worried about the creation. And either one, man, let's talk about it. Let's dive in. My dad, I'm out of time, I'm almost done. My dad, he married us, me and Amanda. That was so cool to get someone who watched my story and went through, he married us. And he said this to me, and it's profound, and it still sticks to me to this day. He said this, hey, Stephen, realize this, Amanda is gonna fail you, just like you're gonna fail her. But here's the cool part. See, he's getting his mind right too now. That's where I got it from. He's like, here's the cool part, Stephen. Check this out. When she doesn't meet every condition you have, you get an opportunity to love for the way Christ loved us. How awesome is that? What do you mean, Dad? If people in our life met every condition that we had, we would not love them unconditionally. If you met every condition as a friend that the next person met, they wouldn't need to love you unconditionally because you already were doing it for them. That's not the kind of love I want to live for. But the real love is that God is up there saying, hey, I know you're gonna not meet every condition. I know every single one of you is gonna fail time and time again, but guess what? I'm still gonna love you. The greatest experiences I've ever had in life is when I'm moving towards Jesus. And when you get an opportunity to love people the way he loves us, and every day we get that opportunity because every single person does not meet the condition that we give them. They don't meet it. And it's an opportunity for you to love them the way Jesus did. For you to love them unconditionally. That's incredible. If people matter to God, repeat, then they should matter to us. Yeah, that was like a 1. Let's go take it up again. If people matter to God, then God, thank you so much for this night. Thank you for this group of young people, Lord, who just, they're so mature. They love you, Lord. I feel it in this room. I see when they worship. I know when they go to their huddle groups, they love you. It's so really inspiring to me to see a group of people that are in high schools choose you, God. That's amazing. God, I love them. I love every single one of them. Thank you for this church. Thank you for these leaders that pour into people. Thank you for these kids that want to love you, Lord. I pray that if they're in that one position where they're wrestling and they want to know you, but they're not quite sure that you are you say you are, that when they seek you, Lord, you would allow yourself to be found because I know that's what you do. And if they're in the second category, Lord, and they're focusing on the creation, I pray you would help their perspective change and they would know that they are loved, that they're created in your own image, Lord. We ask these things in your name, I pray, amen. Hey, y'all are awesome.